Hey guys, this is Yoda. In this video, we'll go over the trinkets that I use on Prot Paladin and how to use them, and also some other trinkets that I don't use, which are worth considering. So we'll actually start with one of those. We'll start with the Swarm Lord's Authority. This is from the raid. In my opinion, this trinket is very strong defensively. It gives you a big absorb when you use it, and it gives you some absorb over time. Usually it's about like 15%-ish of your healing. Personally, I think it's not needed. I think your Paladin has low enough cooldowns that you can play without this, especially with a Disc Priest. You have double PS to fill in, and also just random trickle healing from Atonement makes this trinket not necessary. However, a lot of top paladins are playing with this trinket, so I'd be remiss not to mention it. Also, the other trinket I have equipped right now, Arakar Sacred. I did get this on Mythic early. Hero Track 1 is also one of the best trinkets that you can get. Just it has haste, and it also gives you strength. Damage effect is kind of weak, but you know, it's just any stat stick that's giving you haste is good, since haste and crit are our two best stats. Another defensive option available is Throngus's Finger. Personally, I think this trinket is kind of bad for Paladin. Most of the time that this trinket would be good, like for instance, first pull of Necrotic Wake, or against other stuff, any dodgeable things where dodge is applicable. Tempered in Battle is kind of going to cover you for most of those situations, or just having a clean cooldown rotation. I think this was usable for Paladin before the buffs, when you had like there's no way to actually keep your cooldowns up, and those pulls were actually very difficult. But after the changes, I think this trinket is not needed for Paladin. Also, you notice it gives burst and no main stat, so it's like really bad stat wise. So personally, I decided not to use this. This module is playable. Personally, I think it's like basically the same level as the Swarm Lords. It is a little bit bugged with your bubble taunt, so be careful with that. Like your bubble taunt can proc the absorb, and then the absorb is like active while you're bubbled, which is not great. You would use this if you were having trouble with certain tank busters, but as a paladin, like with after the rework, you don't really have trouble with that anymore. So I wouldn't use this. Basically wouldn't use this under any situation. I also wouldn't use this trinket, but some people do. So those are the defensive trinkets. Basically, I don't use any of them, but if you're going to use one, then Swarm Lord's Authority or Aggression Module are both fine. Next, we'll go over stat sticks, which is what I tend to use. So we'll not talk about the one I mainly use, because I'll talk about that last. So first we have this concoction. Basically, all the stat sticks from like dungeons and the raid are really bad, except Mercurial Egg. So delves are actually the best ones that most people have access to. So Concoction Kiss of Death, in my opinion, is the best one. For most people, it is coming from a delve. It lasts for 30 seconds, gives you a bunch of secondaries, and is a 2-minute 30 cooldown. Kind of lines up well because Wings with Zealot's Paragon usually lasts like 30 seconds or so, and it also has about a 1-minute 15 cooldown with all the cooldown reduction we have. So it kind of lines up that you use this on every other Wings. So I like this trinket. Shadow Biting Ritual Knife, also decent. Gives you mastery and strength. The debuff that you get lasts, it's like 10% uptime or something, or less than that, it's like 5% uptime. So you can get screwed if you were counting on like the mastery for spell block, and then you also get the mastery debuff. That almost never happens, but you know, it could happen theoretically, so watch out for that. A lot of people think, oh, it's just mastery and strength. That's not great, but the strength is actually over budget. If you look at this trinket, it's 626 to give you 3200 strength. This one gives you 3642 strength at the same item level. So it's worth a lot of strength, which is one of the reasons it's pretty good. So this trinket is great if you need to hit your mastery breakpoints, or if you just need a stat stick, it's good. The other trinkets we're going to talk about are the Mark of Cardros plus Skarmorax Shard. They're basically the same trinket. They give you mastery for 15 seconds every 1-minute 30. This doesn't really work out that well, in my opinion, for Paladin, because Wings is shorter cooldown than 1-minute 30. If you're playing a Moment of Glory build, which personally I don't like, this is an okay trinket. It also kind of is okay for some defensive value, since you have mastery like on pull, but if you were going to play a defensive trinket, I would just play a defensive trinket instead of this. Personally, not a fan, but a lot of talents do like this trinket, especially if you're playing Moment of Glory, which I don't do. This trinket lines up with every Moment of Glory, so it's kind of nice that way. There's a Delve trinket we didn't mention, which is the Spelunker's Waning Candle, which is pretty good. It's a crit stat stick. The raid trinkets that are just like single target usage, like Foul Behemoth Chelicera, Mandate, and Corrosive Organ, those are all okay for single target damage, but they are complete trash in Mythic Plus. Do not equip any of them under any circumstance. Stats are way better. Then next we'll go over the actual trinket I use, which is Mercurial Egg. This one's 626. Surely I have the real one in here somewhere. Okay, well, we'll just equip this one for now. Oh, it's a 636. Okay, so this trinket is kind of weird, and if you watch me stream, you will see I'm playing around with this trinket a lot. First, we'll get to 30 stacks. So basically the way it works is you have up to 30, usually, green and red stacks. When you stop moving, you get more red stacks. When you move, you get more green stacks. Green stacks are your secondaries, which is basically going to be haste for me, because haste is my highest secondary. And red is going to be strength, so that's my main stat. But it's bugged. So you notice I have 31 stacks right now. So there's the bug is if you have 30 stacks, so this is a normal state, you have 30 stacks, then you trigger green, then trigger red immediately. Like you go to 29, 1, then you stop moving. I'll go to 30 and 1, and I'll have 31. So look, I'm gonna move, and then I stop moving, 30 and 1, and then I just keep moving, and it stays at 31 forever. This is obviously a super minor gain. It's like worth 1 extra red stack, which is less than 0.5% of damage. But if you manage to pull it off and you keep those stacks, it's good. Also, if you mess up, like when you're cooking your egg, basically, which is what I say, the expression I use, and you like go to 28 and then you stop moving, then you can have like less than 30 stacks. Like just have 29 stacks. So it is kind of buggy. You can end up with less than 30, but you can also end up with 31. So there's that. When do you use this trinket? I use it basically if you have, so your goal is to have 20 green, 10 red, or any number like in between. As long as none of these numbers is over 20, then you're doing good because you're not getting the reduced stats. If you can maintain that without like griefing your group, like you're moving around too much or standing still in a mechanic or something, then there's no reason to activate it. When you activate it, you basically are saying, I need to break the rules of this egg. Like let's say you have 20 green and the game says you have to move. Well, then you're going to go to like 21, 22, 23 green, right? It's not ideal. That's when you would activate your egg to stop yourself from going to too high stacks. All right, so that's Trinkets. Thank you for watching. Peace out.